I was a classroom teacher for 7 years, and I had my highs and my lows. And one of the experiences that led me to leave happened my last year in the classroom. It was a very difficult year. There were some serious things I dealt with, and one of them was a student destroyed a very expensive piece of equipment in my classroom. And I met with a member of leadership about what had happened and what he felt the appropriate consequences were for this $800 piece of equipment that had been destroyed intentionally. And he told me that my classroom management was the problem, and if I had a better handle on behavior, I would not motivate students to desire to destroy the property of the school. So after that happened, within a short order, I realized I needed to leave. And I quit the job. I felt amazing. I woke up every single day saying a prayer of thanks to the universe that I did not have to deal with that anymore. But then I had to make a plan for what to do next with my life. Because of the negative experiences I'd had, I knew I did not want to go back to education in any way, shape, or form, which closed every obvious avenue to me. And I took 8 months of job searching to figure out what my next step was. And during that intervening time, I took a very random job to pay the bills. I assumed I would go back to subbing or something easy like that, but I got a job at an auction while I was job searching for my next thing I wanted to do long term. I wasn't doing the fast talking part of the auction. It was an online auction, so I was describing things and getting them ready for being posted on eBay and similar sites. And one day I was at this job. I had was in this middle of this job search. I did not know how long this was going to go on. And, I go from having a job as a teacher where kind of a lot of your identity is in your job, to this job where I am, doing something I never saw myself doing, especially at this part of my life. And they need help up at the front counter of the auction with a customer. There's some item that needs to be brought up. And so I go up there. Who is the customer? But this leader at the school who sat across from me, blaming my classroom management, and we look at each other. He greeted me. I gave him the death stare. And I was like, well, I guess he knows that I don't know what I'm doing with my life, because here I am working at this auction. Obviously, this is not it's a step up for me in terms of my happiness. It's not a step up career-wise or pay-wise. So it was a very humbling moment. And I went home that night and I was like, well, I sure hope this pays off. I don't know what's going to happen next. And after a few more months of job searching, I had clarity about what I wanted in my career. I had decided that I was a teacher before. I wanted to go into a corporate context and make trainings in that way, where it would be more using my skills in a different setting. And I interviewed and applied for a lot of these jobs. I realized that they were difficult to get as a career changer. As someone who had worked in teaching, I had always been hired for being a warm body and wanting to do the job. There was a teacher shortage my entire time in the field. Interviewing was never difficult, and I was finding that to be different this time around. And so after several months of job searching, I didn't know if I was going to be able to get this job that I wanted. And then I got 2 job offers the same week. One was for the kind of job I always wanted, and the other was for basically an admin assistant job. And I was like, this is great. I can take this job I really want. However, there was a problem. After I had gotten the unofficial offer, I had a meeting with a leader at the company who would be my boss's boss. And it was supposed to be what I thought was a friendly chat. And this guy rubbed me the wrong way. He talked down to me. He dismissed my teaching experience. He questioned everything I had to say. And after that, I was just like, well, fuck this. I'm not going back to being questioned by the people that are in charge of me at work. I'm not going back to an environment where I'm going to be blamed for things that are outside of my control. And I told them I was turning the job down. And I talked to my partner about it, and he kind of said, like, hey, like, I know you already kind of told them no, but that's the job you really want. I don't think you should let this asshole take this away from you. Like, do you think Ruth Bader Ginsburg would turn down her dream job because there's just some jerk that's going to be in charge of her? And that really made me think. I told him I would take the job, and that man no longer works for our company, and I don't have to deal with him anymore.